Hey, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is the last video of the series that I've been doing about portraits, and today we'll be drawing the eyes. If you're new here, my name is Khaled and I am a self-taught artist, and I share my learnings, tips and tricks and experiences in this channel. And if you haven't seen all the other videos, you can go and watch them, where I show the overall head, and then I have also different videos on how to draw the ears, the mouth, and the nose in different angles. So we can start with the construction of the eye first, and I'll hide these ones. So of course there are different shapes of eyes and different structures, but the overall construction is very similar and we can use it in order to draw the eye. So the first one we'll do is from straight on. So something that I realized is that we really have to think about the eye as a 3D shape in order to be able to draw it in the different angles. I like to start with the eyeball, and then the eyelids wrap around the eyeball, so we don't actually see the entire eyeball. And a simple construction is using a few angles. So the first angle goes up and straight, then down. But keep in mind that the inner eye, the inner corner, is lower than the outer corner. And then when we come back down, comes this way and this way. Then we can really soften the edges and use that as the guideline. Use those lines and angles as the guideline for drawing the eye. Just like that. Now, the next thing to keep in mind is that the eyelids. So the eyelids have a thickness, and depending on the angle, you might be able to see the different thicknesses or the different parts of the eye, of the eyelid. So for example, this part here, the bottom, there's a thickness there. The same applies for the top, but from this angle, we might not be able to see it that well. Then we can add the top of the eyelid, and depending on the eye or the reference that we have, this could have many different shapes. So it could go something like this in some cases. It could be very round, or it could even overlap the eye. So we can just draw this like that for this example. And then the bottom also, the bottom eyelid, we can also add it there. In most cases, the top eyelid, it's a very deep crease that we see. Then the bottom piece we can mostly draw with lights and shadow rather than a hard line like we have here. Then we can draw the iris and the pupil, and in a lot of cases the circle is more in the upper side of the eye, so it cuts out there at the top rather than it being a complete round circle in the middle of the eye, unless facial expression has it that way. And then the pupil is right in the center. And then we can add a little bit of color to it, or darkness. And the inner corner also, we usually see the part here where the eyeball kind of ends, and then we can imply that here. And then we can add some of the eyelashes. You can go and try and add all the eyelashes one by one, but that might take too much time and it might not look as well as you want it. So you can imply it by adding a thickness and then add a little bit eye lines like this. Same with the bottom, so it's a bit of thickness on the outside, and then the closer we get, the less we see. Then you can also, if you wanted to, add some details to the eye, the pupil, and the iris. We can add that, and then more lighter one if we wanted to. Of course, these details are not necessary. It's just adds more detail. And then we can add a little bit of light and shadow to it. If we say the light is from front top of the head, the upper part of the eye will be in shadow because of the upper eyelid. And also keep in mind that the corners recede in and the center is further out. You can add a little bit of shadow there as well. And then we can also add a highlight into the eye. The bottom here is in shadow. This part here is in shadow, but then the upper eyelid sees a bit of light, so it's not as dark as the crease there. We said again here we see some shadows and add more details there. And then the lower side of the eyelid, this gets a little bit of light, so we can add that there besides the thickness of the eyelid. There we go. That's how we draw the eye from the front view. You can spend a lot more time and add a lot more details if you wanted to. But now I wanted to also draw the eye in an angle, and we can really see the shapes and where some of the parts of the eye overlap each other. And put this one on the side there. Then we can draw the next one. So in this case, and again, draw the eyeball. It would be facing this way. This is the inner side, and this is the outer side of the eye. So this is where the nose is. So when we want to draw this, it's important to really think about what is in front of the other part. So if we try and do the same thing, the outer part goes out like this towards the inside, and then it comes down. And as we said before, outer corner is higher than the inner corner. And then this is the eyeball, the part of the eyeball that we see. This. So this kind of overlaps this part, so we can't really see what's behind there. Same, it kind of overlaps a little bit of the inner part or the lower part of the eyelid as well, and then goes back up just like that. So now if we want to try and add a little bit of thickness to these eyelids, we'll be able to see this part here. Then it comes here and we can't see it. And then similarly, the bottom eyelid, we see a little bit of it. And then the eyeball covers it. And then the top side of the eyelid comes up, and we might not be able to see too much of it when it goes down towards the inner part of the eye. And then the inside here, similarly, we said it's more softer, and the top side has this really hard crease. Then we can draw the iris and the pupil. And keep in mind the round shape of the eye, and the spherical shape of the eye, so that you can draw the pupil and the iris in the best way possible. So when we're looking at it in an angle, so when we are looking at it from straight ahead, the iris and the pupil are very round, but when we look at it from the side, it becomes more oval. So we can see that the iris is more oval and the pupil as well. So we can add that, add a little bit of highlight if we want for now. And then we can add some details and thicken the top and the bottom parts. And then we can add some light and shadow. You can see this part here is the inner part of the eyelid for the top side. We can add some shadow there. And then this part receives some light, and then the eyelid or the eyeball overlaps it, so we won't be able to see too much after that. And as usual, as before, the eye is a sphere, so we can shade it as such. Top side sees shadow, the corners see shadow, just like that. And then something to keep in mind, especially when we're drawing it from the side, is that the pupil recedes in, it's further in. If this is the eyeball, the pupil is inside here and the iris is outside here. So when you want to add light and shadow, you have to keep this in mind for that. So if the light is from this way, the highlight on the iris might be here, but on the pupil would be in this corner. So they're opposite. So in our case, in this case, when we said the highlight is on this corner for the iris, pupil, it's inside there. Same here, that it's on this side, so it's on the other side for the pupil. So that's it for this video. These are the really simple steps that you can take to draw the eyes. I hope this helped. If you enjoyed this video and learned a little bit, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you in the next video.